ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaskar, my dear friend. This is video number 20 on Panchadasi of Swami Vidyarnaya. This video starts with part 3 of chapter 13. Illusoryness of the world. Brahma is of the nature of reality, Sat, intelligence, Chit, and happiness, Sukha. The world consists of names and forms. The Narsimhahotra Tapini Upanishad gives the definition of the essential nature of Brahma in the passage. All this is Brahma alone. Reality, intelligence, bliss. Uddalaka Aroni said that reality is Brahma. In the beginning, my dear, this was reality alone, only, without a second. The Aitreya Upanishad establishes the intelligence nature of Brahma in the words, this Brahma, Hiranyagarbha, this Indra, this creator, all these gods, these five great elements, earth, air, ether, water, fire, and all these small creatures, these others, the seeds of creation, and these egg-born, worm-born, sweat-born, sprout-born, horses, cows, men, elephants, and whatever else which breathes and moves and flies and is immovable, all this is guided by intelligence and is supported by intelligence. The universe has intelligence for its guide. Intelligence is the basis. Intelligence is Brahma. Sanat Kumara declared that Brahma is bliss. The infinite is bliss. There is no bliss in what is finite. The infinite alone is bliss. The infinite alone is to be understood. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, the same purport is conveyed in the words, he understood that bliss is Brahman, because from bliss these creatures are verily born. By bliss they live, and having departed into bliss again they enter. That the world is of the nature of names and forms is evidenced by such scriptural text as thinking all the forms and creating the names, and brave Supreme Self remains naming them. This deity thought, well may I enter into all those three devatas by means of the jiva and appear under different names and forms. This universe was then unmanifest. It became manifest into name and form. It was called such and was of such and such form. It was unmanifest in the causal state because Maya, the indeterminable power which is located in Brahma, was not active. What is called the manifestation of the world is the differentiation of Maya into the manifold of names and forms. The evidence for the residence of Maya in Brahma is the passage, know Maya to be the primal cause Prakriti, and the Lord to be the mind. Brahma, as conditioned by Maya, is the cause of the world. Just as the appearance of pot in clay is a delusion due to adjunct, even so, the manifestation of the world in Brahma is a delusion due to adjunct, and the adjunct is Maya. We saw above that in the product There are two elements, the real and the unreal. In pot, potness is unreal, while clayness is real. In the world, what is real is Brahma. Worldness is only an appearance. Appearance is true insofar as it is real. All name and form is true only in its nature. As the real self, all modification by itself being false. What is real in the world is the nature of Brahma, and what is unreal is the nature of Maya. Ether, the first product of Maya, exhibits the real nature of Brahma insofar as it exists asti, is luminous bhati, and is of the nature of love, priyam. But spaciality, avakasha, which is its own nature, is illusory. When we say that ether is unreal, we do not mean that its existence, luminosity, and loveness are unreal. What we mean is its spaciality is illusory. Spaciality is illusory because prior to the manifestation of ether, it did not exist, and when ether is destroyed, it will cease to exist. What is unreal at the beginning and unreal at the end cannot be real in the middle. Beings are unmanifest in the beginning, manifest in the middle, and unmanifest again in the end. But the real nature of Brahma persists in ether for all time, as cleanness in pot. When it is realized that the spaciality of ether is unreal, then the essential nature of Brahma is experienced. If spaciality be removed from ether, what remains is not void, for it must be admitted that there is something which is apprehended as what is qualified by the non-existence of spaciality. This locus is the real, and it is of the nature of happiness. What is neither helpful nor hurtful is real happiness. Hilarity is consequent on the cognition of what is helpful, and pain is the wages of what is hurtful. When there is the non-existence of both, there is the manifestation of real happiness. It may be asked how, if real happiness is ever and everywhere present, there is the cognition of pain. Real happiness is not always cognized because what apprehends it, namely the mind, is momentary, and the cognition of pain is also intelligible because it is the nature of the mind. Happiness is the very nature of all things, but when obstructed by adjuncts, it is not manifest. Thus, in ether, real happiness is found when its unreal character, which spaciality, is removed. Similarly, it can be discovered also in all things from air down to the physical body. What are known as the distinctive features of each object cloud the real. The attributes of movement and the tangibility belong to air. Fire has the attributes of inflaming and illumining. Fluidity is found in water and hardness in the earth. Thus, each object is distinguished from the rest by some characteristic marks, but these marks are adventitious and they are the products of avidya. What is persistent in all these things, namely reality, intelligence, bliss, is Brahma, even as what is persistent in pot, jar, etc. is clay. Analogy of dreams. Part 4 of chapter 13. Analogy of dreams. Like the power of clay, the power of Maya, which is located in Brahma, creates many unreal things. This is analogous to the dream creations of the Jiva in sleep. Just as the power of sleep, which is present in the Jiva, is the cause of the inexplicable dreams, even so, Maya, which is located in Brahma, is the cause of the creation, sustaination, and destruction of the world. Impossible events such as floating in the air, surviving after the severance of one's own head from the body, and the experience of immeasurable time take place in dreams. Hence, the dreams are inexplicable. If the power of sleep possesses such wonderful capacities, need it then be said that Maya is capable of unthinkable and impossible feats. The person who sleeps lies like a log of wood without any activity, but still sleep that resides in him creates the most incoherent dreams. In the same way, Maya superimposes modifications on Brahma which is without any modification. The modifications that Maya superimposes consist of intelligent beings and non-intelligent things. Beings are intelligent because they bear the reflection of the self, and the inert things do not have intelligence because they are incapable of receiving the reflection. But the persistence of Brahma is the same in both. It is only the names and forms that vary. Release in embodiment. Part 5 of chapter 13. Release in embodiment. Names and forms are superimposed on Brahma as pictures are painted on the canvas. They are to Brahma as waves are to the sea. When the names and forms are realized to be more superimpositions, the real nature of Brahma becomes known. The names and forms are to be recognized as being unreal, just as a man standing on the edge of a tank knows his reflection in the water to be unreal. There may be innumerable daydreams flitting across the mental arena, but no man in his senses pays any heed to them. They are evanescent, ever fleeting, so also are names and forms and their empirical uses. Boyhood is not found in youth, and youth is not recovered in senility. The deceased father never comes, nor does the dead past ever return. Thus, there is no real difference between daydreams and the facts connected with this world. Hence, though the world may continue to appear, the cognition that it is real must be given up. When the objects of the world are seen in their true color, the intellect is set to free to indulge in the contemplation of Brahma, like the Hysterian who does not lose his individual identity in the roles that he happens to play. The intellect, though attending to the affairs of the world, does not lose sight of the real. Just as the rocks that lie buried in the riverbed are not affected by the flow of the stream, even so the immutable Brahma remains unchanged in spite of the fleeting things of the world. The appearance of the world in Brahma is like the reflection of the heavens in a mirror. Without seeing the mirror, it is not possible to behold the reflections of the sky. Similarly, without the thought of Brahma, there is not even the thought of names and forms. Superficial cognition of Brahma is vouchsafed even by the cognition of objects, but if that cognition is to be constant, we must cease to cognize the world as real. When Brahma, which is of the nature of reality, intelligence, bliss is seen, the cognition of names and forms vanishes of its own accord. In order that Brahma knowledge may be firmly established, there must be a relinquishment of the world of duality, the abandoning of the cognition of duality, and the attainment of Brahma intuition are interdependent. When, through constant and continued practice, the cognition of duality is given up and Brahma intuition is gained, the Jiva achieves release in embodiment. What is known as the practice of Brahma is the contemplation of Brahma, conversation about it, and having it as the only purport. Through such practice, duality, which has been presenting itself without beginning, is destroyed and Brahma intuition is gained. Chapter 14, Knowledge Bliss, Vidyananda Prakarna. The present chapter is more or less a recapitulation of the Tripati Deepa Prakarna. Verses 40 to 64 of this chapter are repetitions of verses 253 to 270 and 291 to 297 of the Tripata Deepa. The aim of both the chapters is to give a description of the post-knowledge state, while the Tripti Deepa details the stages that lead to the final intuition, as also the state of man who has attained the intuition. The Vidyananda gives only an analysis of the consequence of Brahma intuition. Section 1 of Part 1 of Chapter 14. Brahma knowledge, its four aspects. Brahma knowledge is of the nature of happiness or bliss. It is said to be fourfold in character. It marks the cessation of all sorrow. It signifies the culmination of all desires, the accomplishment of the unaccomplished as it were, and the attainment of the unattained as it were. A man of illumination has no wants and is impelled by no desire. He has nothing to accomplish in this world or in the next, nor is there anything left for him to attain. When he has achieved the supreme human goal, what need has he for trinkets of the world? The entire choir of heaven and furniture of the earth seem as nothing before his divine vision. He revels in the bliss of Brahma, and the realization that he is non-different from Brahma gives him felicity and peace. Bradley appearance and reality. Appearance is content not at one with its existence. A what loosened from its that appearance is the looseness of character from being, the distinction of immediate oneness into two sides, a that and a what. Sankara's commentary on Chandogya Upanishad. Anyway, so I conclude this chapter, this video. Next video will start with chapter 14, part 2, cessation of sorrow. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Namaskar my dear friends.